One final thing that I was reviewing my notes for Where Are You Going? Where Have You Been? And because I deleted the mishap with deleting the first part of the video, I forgot to mention something in your literary element. So I wanted to come back and talk about the setting really, really quick. Um, so this story it was written in the 1960s in the latter half, and I think that that's important when you think of cultural context, historical context of what's going on in the story with Connie. um, because when you think about the 1960s, there is we're coming out of that post World War II, Cold War, um, apple pie America. The things that are, I mean, if you think of that old TV show, Leave It to Beaver, when, you've got everybody has, a mom, a dad, you know, two kids and a dog, kind of happy family. Experience, and it's not what Connie has. Anyways, but you look at what's going on in the 1960s, where in that post World War II apple pie America, and then moving into a time of incredible social change. It's a transformative phase for America as a country. We've got the civil rights movement that's going on. We've got the whole counterculture, with the, hippie movement. There is the feminist movement that's coming out of that whole liberation, female liberation. And then also you have a pretty scary time in terms of President Kennedy is assassinated. There is the war in Vietnam that was incredibly controversial. It is a very ambiguous time. It's an exciting time. It's a scary time, but it's very ambiguous in terms of where where are we going? Where have we been as a nation? And I think that a lot of that has to do with um, it kind of mirrors Connie's struggle, in that she is in that transformative phase of childhood and adulthood. And this story kind of mirrors that ambiguous time that was the 60s. And despite the fact that it was written in this time period, you'd be very hard pressed to find any kind of inclination within this story, aside from the dedication to Bob Dylan, because that kind of dates it. But nothing in this story really makes you say, aha, that happened in the 1960s. This takes place in the 1960s. So, in that way, it's very much a universal setting. We don't know the name of the town. We don't know what. Yeah, I mean, it could have been, it could happen. What happens with Connie could have happened 20 years ago. It could happen 20 years in the future. It could happen today. So I think that that whole idea of being this universal setting is that there are hundreds of Connies out there. There are hundreds of Arnold friends out there. And it's kind of sort of in some ways a warning against all the things that Arnold represents and Connie represents and things like that. So we have this universal setting which opens the ambiguity of this story up even more. I also would note that it takes place in the suburbs, and again there's that irony in this setting, in that, I mean, why do people want to live in the suburbs? Because it's not the city. The city is a place of danger where you expect Arnold friends to dwell, and the suburbs are more associated with who, like the middle class America, the family, right? And Connie's world, just because she lives in this suburban area, is not a safe world. It's not a happy world. It's there's that irony in that. So um, I want to talk more about the setting when we get to talking about the well, I already have talked about it. But when we get to the symbolism of house and all that kind of thing, I think that that also plays in with this setting. But I just wanted to come back and cover that because I think that that historical and social context is necessary and important when looking at the elements of this text.